Welcome to Brandon Hall Group's Excellence at Work podcast. You will hear from industry leaders covering innovative, cutting-edge business, learning, and HR topics that weave current market research and technology into each episode. Our Excellence at Work podcast is hosted by Brandon Hall Group's Chief Operating Officer and Principal HCM Analyst, Rachel Cook.
Hi, and welcome to Brandon Hall Group's Excellence at Work podcast. I'm excited to have with me today Brendan Naud, the co-founder and CEO of LearnUpon. Hi, Brendan. How are you?
Hi, Rachel. Lovely to talk to you today.
I'm looking forward to our discussion and just to kind of share a little bit about you and your background and your company. Brendan is the CEO and co-founder of LearnUpon, as I mentioned. LearnUpon was launched in 2012 and has over 1,300 customers worldwide today. LearnUpon's user-focused LMS and industry-leading expertise enables businesses to deliver impactful training that fuels employee, partner, and customer success. With over 20 years of experience in the learning industry, Brendan has overseen some of the largest and most complex LMS implementations in the world. I'm sure you have a lot of good stories to share there. And prior to co-founding LearnUpon, he's worked with WPT Systems and KPMG Consulting. In the late 2020, Brendan was selected as the Endeavor Entrepreneur, joining the leading global community of by and for high-impact entrepreneurs. Congratulations there. That's quite impressive.
Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, it's great network to be part of.
Yes, and I want to go back to learning about some of your interesting stories as we see from our research and experience as well that LMS implementations are not necessarily the easiest task or easiest initiative to accomplish, but with I see with experience and a process and framework, it can. Companies can achieve it more effectively if they do their due diligence and they are prepared and they go through, a proper process rather than just selecting any system just to fit their need in that, in that immediate time frame. They take a step back and really kind of look at what all that the organization needs. And, so anyway, it's not an easy effort. However, it can be done more effectively if you really kind of think through it a little bit more so. Also, LearnUpon received in 2022 5 HCM Excellence Awards from Brandon Hall Group. Congratulations. That was quite also impressive. And the selection process is made by Brandon Hall Group's team of analysts, and in addition to a network of HCM professionals around the world.
Yeah, we were delighted to be successful with our customers in those awards. I think it was great, quite a wide range of categories and different use cases. And I think the combination of our customers' projects that they were looking to achieve with the support of the LearnUpon customer success team, I think had real impacts on those businesses, and it's great to see that recognized by Brandon Hall. So we take a lot of pride in seeing our customers be successful on our platform, and to get that independently recognized is always great.
Absolutely. And today we're going to be talking about the future of learning as we look ahead in 2023. And now's a really good time to think of what we need to consider as we're looking into next year and beyond, as we enter the new year and turn the page in 2022. What are some of the big shifts that you're seeing, that we're seeing in learning? Where are we heading? What trends will take center stage? Our discussion today is focused on the future. We're excited too. We have our HCM Priorities Outlook study that will be available at our conference at the end of January. And this conversation kind of tees that up nicely. Brendan, why don't you kick us off here and kind of share what you see as the next phase of learning and what it looks like?
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. I think for us, we've seen over the last couple of years, and I think it's accelerating more recently, a real shift towards what we're internally kind of talking about as just-in-time learning. So delivering the right content to the right people at the right time. And I think with that shift, I think is a move away from maybe always logging into the LXP or the LMS for learners to go search for and find the courses and content they're looking for, enroll in those courses and consume that training or have it assigned to them, and much more being able to access learning resources in their day job, in the apps that they're using, be that Slack or Salesforce or Zendesk if they're a customer support rep. And I think as we think about learning and from a LearnUpon perspective, being that delivery engine to serve up that right content is a key focus for us. And we've always thought about learning from the LMS perspective. In some ways, is to get out of the way and for make the learner experience as seamless as possible and as user friendly as possible. And I think that idea of embedded learning into other apps, I think, is just the next iteration on that trend. Yeah, certainly for us, it's an area we're talking to a lot of our prospects and customers about, and we're very excited to see how our platform will evolve to support that.
Yeah, learning continues to, the culture of learning continues to change, where it's not just a program. It's really kind of part of your thread of what you do and your day-to-day operations, your day-to-day activities. Having that access to those nuggets of information or support is now a necessity and an expectation we see from from all generations in the workplace, really. So, and technology has really made that that change, that disruption, or to say, it's a disruption, but not really a disruption, because if, it's really helpful. It's some disruptions it may seem at the time a little chaotic, trying to figure it all right out, but then at the end, it creates something that's meaningful, something that's, changes or whatever it might be. And right now, it's really interesting to see how learning is taking shift. And what you see, tell us what you see the role of AI and how will that play and how will that feed into just-in-time and micro-learning?
Yeah, I think AI is going to play a really important role, and we've even seen in the last couple of weeks with Chat GPT kind of making waves across the world and what it means in terms of content creation and the impact AI and tools like that are going to have. I think, historically creating content has been one of the most time consuming aspects of e-learning, and, creating for instructional designers to create engaging courses and content. I think AI is going to play a significant role in making that much more efficient. It's unlikely to be perfect, although the advances that we're seeing recently are pretty impressive. But I could see the role of instructors evolving to be much more reviewing and tweaking and improving that base content that AI can play a significant role in helping develop. And I think the other areas for AI is just around understanding what learners are doing in their role, be it in other apps as they work through different software programs, or maybe they're typing a message in Slack or using a different tool, and for AI to maybe be working in the background and understanding the impact of those conversations, and again serving up relevant content at the right time. So lots of interesting, I think, evolution there, and I think it's we're probably just at the start of the impact, but I think it'll have a positive impact overall. Generally, just making learning delivery more efficient, both from an administrator, instructor perspective, and from the learner's perspective, like you were mentioning earlier, Rachel, I think it's to be there as a support, and not to be intrusive or disruptive, but actually to kind of make people's jobs easier, and I guess from the business perspective, hopefully making things more efficient as well. That people aren't spending lots of time looking for relevant content or information, or knowledge that they don't have to hand.
And how do you see this accelerating skill development in the workplace for getting it to the right people at the right time?
Yeah, I think again, it's a lot about efficiency. I think as we think about career paths and people attaining the right skills for their job, often they have to go through very structured programs to achieve that, and they could be quite long, going through a lot of content, various assessments, and to ultimately kind of attain new skills and knowledge that you can use in your role. I think there's an element of that that's maybe not relevant, or you're not necessarily going to need. So if we can help make that process more efficient, so that the information and knowledge and ultimately the skills that you attain are really relevant to the role you're doing, and at a particular point in time, what you need to perform that role at a high level. I think the other area is just that the fact that kind of reinforcement and the kind of learning by doing. Again, if that's in the apps that you're spending your time in, and the product, whether it's engagement platforms or whatever, where you're doing your job, and being able to kind of leverage that knowledge and information and then actually put it to work right away, and to see the impact of that, I think will have a big role in helping reinforce it and retain it, and then it becomes kind of, I guess, second nature going forward. So I think, that's how we see it. I think in general, we'll have a much better grasp on the exact skills people need to do their job effectively, and other skills that might not be as relevant will maybe be taken out of the picture, and people will not need to do those just for the sake of doing them.
That'll be good, because there's I think that's where a lot of learners get disengaged, is we see if they don't feel that it's needed or it's relevant for them. There's only so much time in a day, and then a week, and in a year. So any time taken away from, or at least large chunks of time taken away from their actual work, can be frustrating, and also not productive for them or the business, unless it's really helping them advance their skills to be more productive, right? So, or to feel that they have more meaning for their role. So the more that we can provide exactly what they need and want, the better experience, the better results, the better impact overall, that we see in our research. And, it makes sense. And also, you mentioned career paths. How do you utilize learning to develop these career paths and build a sustainable, positive culture that makes employees feel valued?
Yeah, I think from a LearnUpon perspective, we've been very focused when we work with our customers about thinking about the business results of learning programs. And with all our customers, we implement what we call a results strategy, which really, from the business perspectives, helps to kind of see the real impact of that investment in L&D or training programs, be they internal or external. And I think that as you extrapolate that out from the employee's perspective, if we can leverage those business results and the real data and kind of impact that someone's job is having on the overall success of the business, it will help people feel, I guess, empowered, and they know that the work that they do plays an important role in the success of the company. So I think it ties nicely together between the benefits for the business, really understanding that by implementing various training and learning programs, we can see that impact, be it for the business, for their customers, their partners, and then right the way through to the employees in the company. And from a career perspective, I think that the feeling of that impact, that your job matters, but then also being able to kind of link that into your career as people build up their resumes, and to be able to actually, if they are looking for a new role, either internally or externally, they can actually tie their experience and knowledge back to real business results, which I think will be a positive. And, if recruiters or businesses are looking to bring talent in, I think knowing that you're bringing someone into your business who has practical experience and can drive positive results for your business, I think is a win-win all around.
Are you seeing, or what kind of trends are you seeing as far as how long do people stay in particular roles before they shift to either advance or to an entirely different kind of position?
I think from, age myself here, certainly in my career, and looking at our team, even from our own personal experience in LearnUpon, we've grown to over 300 people since we started 10 years ago. And we've been very proud of the fact that a lot of our early hires are still with LearnUpon today. But throughout that journey, they're 8, 9, 10 years with LearnUpon, a lot of people have moved roles internally, and their roles have evolved. And I think that's key if you're going to retain employees for the longer term. People want to be challenged, they want to learn new things. So we certainly look internally to create those opportunities. And we see people maybe stay in a role for 3 or 4 years where they may advance, up into more senior positions. But then at certain times, we see the requests coming in that people are interested in other areas of the business. They'd like to build their skills and experience in another area. And so trying to create opportunities for internal mobility, I think, is key. And then I think outside of that, obviously, I think there is an increase in people moving jobs probably more regularly now as people. I think the idea of the one company for career, like 20, 30 years is probably would be very unusual these days, and people are kind of keen to move into different areas. A lot of the people we hire, and you kind of see it in general, they're looking to join companies who have a real vision and mission, and know that the company's going to have an impact, and also that they can have an impact as part of that bigger vision. So I think, it's definitely, it's evolving. And I think if you don't create opportunities for growth and learning, it'll be difficult to retain your best people.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're seeing a similar trend, or I don't know if it's a trend, but a similar environment, or a similar kind of mindset that employees have, and also employers, and what they want to offer and how they're, thinking about engaging, developing, and retaining their best talent.
Yeah, definitely.
So as we wrap up today, Brandon, what are some things that you're seeing as far as companies, either when they're looking at LMS systems, or whether they are, wanting to either optimize their system or select a new system? What are some things that you recommend that they do?
I think some of the things we've seen is some companies that may have multiple LMS systems, particularly, larger enterprise companies, have often ended up in a kind of a space where they have 3 or 4 different LMSs, maybe looking after different use cases. I think the opportunity to consolidate there onto a single platform is something companies could consider. From our own perspective in LearnUpon, we've always been very focused on multi-audience training, and particularly training external audiences. And our platform is designed to help with that, to give the flexibility for different types of training delivery, be that internal programs or external audience training, like customer partner training. I think the other areas that businesses, I think, are focused on is like leveraging that knowledge across their different learning programs and different L&D teams is key. And again, we see that like a lot of our customers early in their process, if they're selecting a new LMS, is to bring all the relevant stakeholders into that process. Even if you're not initially looking to do lots of different use cases or train different audiences to kind of choose a vendor that will scale and future-proof with you, I think is important. And so involving other stakeholders early can be a key part of that to make sure you're choosing a partner that is actually able to scale as you invest more in your different programs.
That's really important, is that scale piece, being able to scale with your clients, or your or you as an organization being able to scale with your provider, because that's something you don't want to select a solution and then in 2 years find out that it's not able to grow with your business, because that, again, it's such a huge effort in the beginning to go through that selection and implementation. You really want to make sure that you match up the best with your provider.
Exactly, yeah. And I think you don't need to enable everything at the start. I think most systems, if they're configurable, you can start with what you need and then be able to introduce new features or use cases down the line. But you have a partner who understands your business and can work with you for many years into the future, which is key.
Yes, and also that is a good point you made about not having to implement everything all at once, but also making sure that you are aware of what's available, because we've seen too that sometimes companies will just switch to another platform, however, not really realizing what they could have also optimized with what they have, or, added on at what, when they need it. So having that dialogue or that partnership is important, and understanding what is available to them as they need is also very important. Well, thank you, Brandon, for joining me today and sharing some of your, information here about your company, about trends you're seeing, your clients, what we should be thinking about as we look into 2023 and beyond. This is an interesting conversation, and I hope everybody that's listening in or watching, can walk away with some interesting insights here that they can apply into the new year, or even just think about. So thank you, Brandon. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a happy end of the year and new year ahead.
Likewise, Rachel. Lovely to talk to you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.